Hey everybody, it's Aldo Gandhi, and I just want to let you know really quickly that our swag shop is reopened. DeepDishTees.com is where you go, and that's tees with T-E-E-S. Clever name, guys. They're the new home of our merchandise. You can get t-shirts, you can get caps, you can get coffee mugs, you can get hoodies, you can get all sorts of good stuff, and you'll help out the bar room with the purchase. So head over to DeepDishTees.com. Every summer in Chicago, the sunshine spotlights the city's spectacular skyline, its luxurious lakeshore, marvelous monuments, and the over 200 neighborhoods in the city. And it also brings to light two of the greatest sports franchises in the world. On the north side, it's the Cubs. On the south side, it's the White Sox. This is CrossTown CrossTalk.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 3 of CrossTown CrossTalk, presented by the Barroom Network. My name is Vinny Parisi.
And I'm Joey Parisi.
And this is the show where we come to talk baseball. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. So I kind of wanted to just get right into things because today we saw one of the most marvelous things I've ever seen in my whole life.
Yeah.
Like, we played for a long time, saw some cool stuff, met some cool people. I've never seen anything like what Javier Baez, El Mago, did in today's game between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Chicago Cubs. It's actually still going on right now. The Cubs carry a 4-3 lead. Normally, I don't love talking about things that are going on live because it makes the show a little less evergreen. But this has to be talked about. Like, Javier Baez, he gets himself into a little bit of an issue here. There's 2 outs, runner on second. He just routine ground ball to third base, and the throw beats him, but it pulls the first baseman off the bag. So what does Baez do? He doesn't give up. He just runs back towards home because that's not illegal. And Wilson Contreras scores from second, and Javier Baez is safe at first because the catcher can't connect with the second baseman trying to cover. It's one of the most miraculous plays you'll ever see. And as good of base running as it was by Javier Baez, it was pure stupidity by the Pittsburgh Pirates because there were 2 outs. So if he just touches first base, the inning is over. He doesn't have to chase Baez or anything. Baez had a mansion the size of the biggest mansion in the world in that first baseman's heads. Your thoughts?
Yeah. What do I always say when especially a first baseman makes a big error like that? Like, I would consider that completely on him. Like, yeah, it was El Mago. He's the magician. But that first baseman, with there being 2 outs, he had options. He not only could have either ran a little harder, he could have stepped on the base, or he didn't have to throw it home. He could have just kept running. It's not like Baez could keep running past home plate.
Well, the run would have scored had it been ahead of the tag.
Even if there's 2 outs?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. I'm not positive on that.
I don't know, because how do you rule that? Obviously, it's never happened really, because most of the time when there's 2 outs, like
no, but think of a play at the plate where, like, if the run scores before the guy's out at second, let's say the run counts. You'll see the umpire point to the home plate while looking at the scores up high.
But if say there's a runner on, say it's bases loaded, okay, 2 outs, usually let's say a full count, so everyone's running on the pitch.
Yeah.
Let's say that third guy on third gets a huge jump. It's a ground ball to shortstop, and the shortstop throws to first. If he's out at first, even if that out comes after the guy crosses home plate, the run don't count.
Yeah, that's actually a fantastic argument.
How do you rule that if he tags him? How do you rule that if he tags him in the first baseline?
Yeah, that's a great question.
I don't think the run would have counted if he just kept running and tagged him.
Yeah, Santiago makes a great point. El Mago goes safe and then runs back to first.
Yeah.
Like, he did a best umpire impression in between the plays.
He had the perfect angle.
And I agree with Joe, who's in the comments talking about it. It was just an egregious play by the Pirates. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Baez, because you have to be a genius to take advantage of other people's stupidity in sports. Like, we always talk in football about Bill Belichick. Yeah, he's the greatest coach of all time, but he's also the master of taking advantage of other people's stupidity, right? No, everyone's dumber than him. Even if he necessarily isn't the smartest guy, he's certainly not the dumbest guy. Like, we talk, and same thing with, like, in hockey. We have our hockey show. Make sure you tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. The New York Islanders are kind of like the perfect example of that. They play like a clamp down. They wait for you to make a mistake. And, like, that's exactly what Javier Baez did here. He forced the Pirate to make a mistake, and it was just the funniest thing. You see Anthony Rizzo laughing at the end. I mean, that's a fun play to watch.
Yeah, I would love to see a poll of every MLB player in the league, and if they're being honest on this poll, how many of them would even think to turn around when you're running to first? 90% of them will either A, accept that they're about to get tagged out, or try to run out of the way, jump over them,
like a little like scoop around them.
Yeah, and probably be called out of the baseline or whatever. Yeah. But they'll do whatever it takes to just try moving forward around the guy. Javi Baez is the one guy who thinks, I'm running the other way. I'm going back to home. And it honestly made for the funniest moment that we'll see this year.
And that's why everyone's like pooping on the Pirates, which I totally understand. It was an egregious mistake. That cannot happen in a Major League Baseball game. Baez deserves a little bit of credit.
Yeah.
I could not agree with you more that most guys would not even think twice about forcing themselves in a rundown between home plate and first base.
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw it, the instant reaction is like, can he do that?
Yeah.
And obviously,
why not?
Obviously he can. There's no rule against it. He stayed in the baseline. Yeah. He went backwards, but I mean, he eventually made it to first. And then for him to even get second, like a little cherry on top. And then the throw to second was a pass ball as well. Like it could have been a whole Angels in the outfield thing if he would have ended up to third.
You know what? Maybe there were some Angels in the outfield there, because that was one of, like, you could go another 100 years without seeing that. Because guys are now going to go to school on that too. Tag the base. You know, every manager is having a film session with their first baseman later. Tag the freaking base. The inning is over if that happens. This game's tied right now if that doesn't happen. I mean, there are other things, the entire flow of the game would have changed. I truly believe that in sports. Like, one action leads to another different reaction. But, like, you don't know how this game would have been. Maybe the Pirates lead. I mean, they look like they might be ready to tie the game in real time right now. But it was just so cool.
It was. It was a little cringy being a first baseman, and that's being my favorite position. And just, you got to know your situation. 2 outs, just step on the damn base.
Yeah, I played first base as well for the second half of my baseball playing days. The first half I was a catcher, but definitely played plenty of first base, especially in my adult playing days. So, I mean, great stuff from the Cubs. They're taking the Pirates down in this series. Earlier in the week, though, they finished a pretty nice series with the St. Louis Cardinals, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they won. They won 2 out of 3. Just like I was getting the White Sox confused, but they also won 2 out of 3. We'll get into that a little bit later. But that first game, that Friday night, they were just pouring it on, 12-3, and it was actually kind of a close game at one point, and they pulled away with it. I remember we were watching that game.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals actually made a little bit of a comeback, and then after that, like, it was just all Cubs.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like they fell asleep, the Cubs, and then the Cardinals kind of woke the beast a little bit when they got the game tied.
Yeah.
And credit to the Cardinals. We're going to talk about the Cardinals in both the White Sox and the Cubs segments, which is kind of funny. You don't see that too often.
I know, right?
But, tough week for them. They have great players on that team. Paul Goldschmidt is an all-world first baseman. Nolan Arenado is an incredible player. So, tough weekend for them against the Cubs. Do you think the Cubs can pass them in the division?
It honestly depends. I do, because the Cardinals, I mean, from what I saw in the 2 series against the Cubs and the White Sox, and I know, like, the White Sox are really good and the Cubs are starting to find it, but I don't know. I just really like the trend and the direction that the Chicago Cubs are heading, especially with Javi Baez. We keep talking better and better about him each week, it seems, and their pitching
We
is
are good luck to him.
yeah. Like we kind of shit on him a little bit in our first episode, but like
Well
not shit on,
deserved.
yeah, not shit on him in a bad way, but like he was underperforming, and ever since then is just getting better and better, and the pitching is getting better. So yeah, I'm gonna say yes, they will actually pass the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah. Nothing on this show is personal. When we attack of the way a player is playing, and if we call them a dumpster fire, it has nothing to do with what we think about them as human. It's strictly baseball. Javier Baez was a dump in the beginning of the season. Now he's arguably their best player, him and Bryant.
Exactly. I'm gonna pull up the Cardinals' upcoming schedule here just to take a peek at it. I don't know it off the top of my head.
We weren't on the show. We didn't have it yet when we talked about this, but I always thought that the reaction to the Cubs beginning portion of the season was a complete overreaction. You ever see a guy like Yermin Mercedes is a great example. He starts off really hot, but you're like, they're going to regress to the mean just a little bit. I believe regressing to the mean works both ways. You can start off unrealistically bad, and regressing to the mean will be like you'll eventually start coming up. And I believe that happened with Baez. I believe that happened with the Cubs in general. And I was never like too worried. When you have those players on that team, the Rizzos, the Bryants, Baez, Wilson Contreras, the pitching staff has, gamers like Jake Arrieta and Kyle Hendricks, who's finally also starting to pitch a little bit better too. Like that's a core that won the World Series just 5 years ago. And you could be worried about their future all you want. And the comments that were made about Anthony Rizzo, expanding his potential to go to another team in the offseason. Are they going to trade Chris Bryant? Are they going to keep Javier Baez? What are they going to do with Wilson Contreras after next year's over? There are so many things to look at in terms of the future to critique. But in the present, those guys still play there. And don't worry, they have a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, I agree completely, and I do, and I'm looking at the Cardinal schedule now, and we're going to preview the Cubs schedule in a minute here, so I won't mention it yet. But they got a series against Arizona coming up, and a series against the Dodgers, and then our next show will be that following Thursday. So 2 series to look forward to. I'm going to say yes, the Cubs will be in first place by our next show.
Yeah, I like the Cardinals against the
D-backs.
The Dodgers might be a different story though.
But yeah, it's okay to like the Cardinals, but I wouldn't say it's a 4-game series. I would not be surprised one bit if it goes split 2-2. I'm not hating. I just watched the entire Diamondback series against the Giants, and I honestly didn't hate. There was only like one game where it was all Giants. And yesterday was a close game. The Giants had a huge comeback, but I don't know. I'm not going to count the D-back completely out of that series.
No, not at all. The Diamondbacks are almost like one of those teams that they're probably not going anywhere. We're going to actually have an extensive discussion about that division later. But they're like one of those teams that can be like a thorn in your side. Like they're probably not going to make the playoffs because they play in such an elite division, but they're one of the better bad teams, a mediocre team, if you will.
Yeah, I would say that a big part of their record is indicative of the division that they play in those top 3 teams.
If they were in the Central, they might have a chance with the Cardinals, the Cubs, and the Brew Crew, I think.
I think you're definitely one of those teams you can't look at their record and be like, that's an easy win. That's just my opinion on the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I mean, and you're looking from I've watched them live a lot in the recent days point of view. The Cubs owe a lot of their success right now to their bullpen. It has been incredible, especially the back end of it. They're not allowing too many runs. It's a much different story than last year. So with that in mind, I ask you, it's a young, upcoming bullpen. Would you trade Craig Kimbrell despite their spot in the standings? Now, let me make my claim before you go. Craig Kimbrell has only been a disaster for the Cubs other than this season, and they paid him a lot of money. Now, the question is whether or not you think they can win with him or if you actually think they have a chance to go deep in the playoffs. If the answer is no, you would think about moving Kimbrell before he starts to suck again. Because if he does start to suck again and you don't move him, you wasted that opportunity. With
what I just said, in that come next week, I do believe the Cubs are going to be in first place in the division. I think playoffs is definitely a very possible thing. I would say it's more than possible for the Chicago Cubs this year. There was a lot of drama behind Craig Kimbrell when he left Boston and him finally signing with a team. He took a big year off, essentially. He wanted a certain price, and then there were other aspects of it. He finally lands with the Chicago Cubs, and he wasn't anything like what they wanted. He was not 2018 Craig Kimbrell or 2017. What you just said, it was a disaster, and now they're finally getting the guy that they wanted when they signed him. And I think it's coming at a pretty good time because if you're going to make the playoffs, you need a guy like that, and he's the guy. I think he's one of the best closers right now, the way he's playing. So I'm a big Craig Kimbrell fan. I say you keep him and use him in the playoffs because you're going to need him.
No doubt. And actually, chances are they wouldn't get too much for him.
Exactly. He's on the older side. I don't want to say he's like, been there, done that, because he's pitching phenomenal. But I mean, what's the team really going to give up for a guy like that?
Who could end up sucking too.
Yeah. And what top team really, really needs him right now? Think of the best teams in the league right now. They kind of already all have their closer. They all have their guy.
In my article about trading him, the teams I thought of as possibilities were the Giants and the Blue Jays and the Phillies, which none of those teams scream World Series or bust to me, but they all kind of see themselves as a team in contention. But I agree. I would probably keep Kimbrell because they're probably not going to get too much for him, and you never know once you're in the dance.
Exactly. And then being that I do think that they will make it and probably even win their division, unless, Milwaukee's actually, I think they're winning right now.
They just went down to the Padres.
The Padres took the lead. It was 2-0.
Yeah.
I was going to live bet the Padres too. It's a shame.
Well, you want to get into that? Because that's the Cubs' next series.
Yeah, we could preview their next series, absolutely. But yeah, the answer to your question, I would absolutely not even think about trading Craig Kimbrell.
Really quick, before we go into those next series, Nico Horner. He's out with an injury. He's been probably one of the best Cubs prospects to come up since the Bryant Schwarber. One of them for sure. He's a great middle infielder. Any championship team will want a middle infielder like that. And he's a good player. He's not like a superstar or anything like that, but I like Nico Horner a lot, and I think he could provide a good amount of value to the Cubs.
Yeah, I saw he got hurt in that Tuesday game against the Pirates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it a bunt that he was trying to beat out a bunt or something, and he pulled his hamstring? But yeah, it's going to be a bat to fill in the lineup because he's batting .338. He's got 25 hits and 74 at bats, so it's a hole that needs to be filled, and we'll see how they answer to it. But yeah, he's been great this year.
And you would like to see them just get replacement on him, and Shane Bieber no longer has a no-hitter because Jonathan Scoop just hit a bomb off of him. I like Nico Horner. I think he's going to be tough to replace. The Cubs should have had him up from the start of spring training. They kind of played the service time BS with him, and David Bodie was their second baseman first. But now that Chris Bryant's literally playing every position on the diamond except pitcher and catcher, they have more use for Bodie in other positions and Nico Horner. But, they're going to miss his relevance to the team.
Mm-hmm. Especially he's batting good. He's hitting the ball. And obviously anytime a team's playing well and you're batting well, especially you go out of the lineup, that's a hole to fill. So we've seen it with the White Sox recently.
Yeah, it's next man up. If you want to be a World Series team, that's how it's got to be sometimes. What do you got on the upcoming Cubs schedule?
Yeah, so they start a series with the Reds tomorrow,
mm-hmm.
and that's a 3-game series, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, San Diego, and then I will talk about this next Thursday, but then even after that, San Francisco, and then so these next couple weeks are going to be tough for the Cubs. So if they want to really, keep it going and they're playing good, they need to really put a good string together, especially against San Diego. I'm very high on San Diego this year. They're so fun to watch. So that's going to be a true test. The Cincinnati series, I think they should be able to handle that pretty well. But yeah, it's really going to come down to that San Diego series. Are we giving our preview of the records now, or do you want to?
Yeah, we could do that in a second. I wanted to say something. They should go into the San Diego series feeling good about themselves. The Cubs are better than the Reds, in my opinion.
Yeah, I expect them to
They got to win the series against the Reds because the next couple weeks after that is going to be tough. You want to take the series against the Reds and then go slightly over or at 500 against the good teams because that's what good teams do. A lot of the times I've seen people rip on even the White Sox and the Cubs like, oh, they dummy bad teams and then they're average against good teams. That's baseball. That is literally how baseball works. You need to beat the teams that you are way better than by a good amount, and you need to tread water against the elite teams. Go 500 or slightly better. That's how it works. So, I mean, I like them against the Reds. I would actually like to get to one of those games against the Padres. I don't know if that's something you'd be interested in if we could find a cheap ticket. I want to go see the Padres play. The last time I was at a Cubs game, actually, in 2019 was against the Padres. So that was before Tatis got called up and before Machado signed there. So,
yeah, I mean, we'll see what our schedules look like. All 6 games are at home, even if, like, I don't want to pick a sweep because every time I think a team's going to sweep, it bites me in the ass, kind of like yesterday with the White Sox and Cardinals. So, I mean, picking a sweep is hard, but they definitely have the capability to sweep the Reds, which would be really good going into that Padres series.
Yeah, it's 3-3 both series.
3-3, yeah.
I'm gonna say 500 on the entire trip. 3-3.
Where are they winning and where are they losing?
I got them taking 2 out of 3 from the Reds and 1 out of 3 from the Padres.
Okay, I have them going 4-2. I'm going to say they're going to sweep the Reds and go 1-2 against the Padres.
Okay, so we both got them going 1-2 against the Daddies, which is tough because we don't necessarily want to like just pick against the Cubs on this show. Like we're White Sox fans, but we host this show where we're like 50-50 to both. But it's hard to see any like I might even pick 1 out of 3 for the White Sox against the Padres, and I think the White Sox are one of the top 5 teams in the league. The Padres are that good.
Yeah, for me, they can hit the ball. That's the thing. The Padres can just hit the ball all around their lineup, it seems, and I don't know. It's going to be a big test for the Cubs pitching and bullpen. So
the Padres are what the White Sox will be when Robert and Jimenez are healthy. I believe they'd match up well in a World Series if both of those guys are healthy. I do believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Cubs. They are on a good run right now. It's 8-2 in the last 10. That's impressive.
Very. I mean, there's a reason they've climbed to what are they, 1 game back of the Cardinals?
Yeah, I think it might be a game and a half. The White Sox kind of helped them, and then yesterday
only half a game.
Okay, so it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. The Brew Crew, I'm sure, will assert themselves. I know they're playing the Padres right now and they're losing, but I like their chances too to kind of make it competitive. I don't think the Central's sending 2 playoff teams. Don't you kind of think that the West is probably going to produce the 2 wild card teams? Or the AL East or the NL East stinks. It's way worse than I thought it was going to be. The Mets kind of underperforming, and Syndergaard just announced today that he's going to be out for a while. The Braves
DeGrom
are
back, right?
Yeah, DeGrom is back, but Syndergaard had a setback, and he's not going to start resuming pitching until after the All-Star break. So that's disappointing. But then the Braves are off to a terrible start. The Red Sox smoked them in the rain game yesterday, and who am I missing? The Phillies, they're like, First and last in the division is separated by like 3 games. It's weird. The Nationals aren't going anywhere.
Yeah. I want to say a little funny story that I heard on I was watching the Astros broadcast yesterday, and I think it was the Astros announcers who were telling the story about DeGrom when he was coming back from his injury. He had like I think a minor league stint.
Yep, in in single A against the Cardinals.
Yeah, and they gave like the scouting report to the team he was going up against, and it's like it's DeGrom. So what the players did was they all got together and they played MLB 21 the show together and played against DeGrom in the video game to get an actual scouting report on him in real life.
That's hilarious. That was just unfair. I don't know if you saw any of the highlights.
I didn't he like have a double or something too? I did not see the game or
Yeah, and their Twitter account, that single A Cardinals team, I forget exactly what town it is. they had a bunch of tweets about how like, yeah, this is no fun, like just making it real funny, kind of acting like one of those funny social media accounts. They had fun with it for sure because
Yeah.
it's Jacob deGrom. Like he's the best pitcher in baseball right now, and he's going up against a bunch of single A players.
Yeah, that's what the announcers who told this story were saying. It's like, I mean, that's pretty much what it's like in real life. It's a video game. Like this dude is a video game.
Yeah, I mean, you can argue that his prime right now matches up with Kershaw's prime.
Yeah.
So that's the Cubs. You want to move south a little bit?
Let's move south.
Swept by the Yankees. That sucked.
Yeah, it's. I mean, last week we were talking about like how the White Sox were more fun to talk about, and now it's a little after this week. It's been a little depressing.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the series against the Cardinals. I still think there was a lot of bad, and I'm not making excuses. Tony La Russa had his issues. They didn't hit the ball well in any of the games really. The first two were walk-offs by the Yankees, and the White Sox had incredible pitching performances from their starters in both games. And one thing that was a big takeaway for me was Andrew Vaughn. In the first game on Friday of last week, he had to come in and face Aroldis Chapman in the ninth inning, right? And the White Sox had runners on first and second with no outs. And it really looked like a potential rally was building. And keep in mind, Chapman hasn't given up a run yet in the season up to this point. And what does Andrew Vaughn do? He's a rookie. He's facing probably a top 3 closer ever. And he grounds into a triple play.
Just unlucky.
Steps on third, throws to second, throws to first. He's out by a hair. Rally killed. The Yankees walk it off in the ninth.
Yeah, it was runner on first and second with no outs.
Yeah.
In the ninth inning, and I remember we were watching it together, and I had them. I think I took a money line, so I was just rooting for anything, and that was the most depressing triple play I've ever seen for that reason, and it's because like, okay, that sucks because I hate the Yankees.
Yeah, and so it was a close game. Well, in game 3, he had the day off technically, and he came in to pinch hit against Chapman. But Andrew Vaughn is such a good hitter that he was able to, it's almost like he learned something from that at bat with Chapman, and he hit the ball to Pluto. And it was the first run that Chapman had given up all season long, and it tied the game. And then the Yankees walked it off in the ninth. So it's the only game that they were a disgrace was against Cole, who's one of the best pitchers ever as well.
Which, if you're not following me on Twitter at Joey Parisi, I tweeted that the Sox were going to win that game and they're going to beat Garrett Cole. And you would have thought that I tweeted, murder against Yankees fans. Like my Twitter exploded all day. My phone was blowing up. I had Yankees fans replying me all day long, telling me how well that tweet aged. It was honestly like the most fun I've had on Twitter in a long time because I love that shit. I don't let words really bother me. And just seeing all these random Yankees fans get so mad at me and going out of their way to call me out for having such an outlandish take and me being wrong. Like it was quite the day.
Which, let's discuss something really quick. If you respond to something with, oh, that aged well, you are the most unoriginal, unfunny person in the history of the world. Come up with something more clever.
Exactly. So, I mean, I love that shit. That's why I posted that video of my playoff prediction in hockey. Like, I like making fun of myself. If I predicted something and I was, like, crazy wrong, like, yeah, I like seeing it, and I like having fun sports banter. That's what sports is. It's all about having fun. So the next day, as we get into game 3 of the series, I tweeted before the game, maybe the White Sox will win this game. And then after the tweet, maybe.
Absolutely. And if we were all like perfectly spot on with our takes all the time, we'd be rich.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what? Anybody who acts like they never have bad sports takes is just crazy.
Yeah, and don't think that if you do follow me on Twitter at Joey Parisi and you see me tweet a sports prediction or something, I'm not doing it for the laughs and to be a clown. I always put my money where my mouth is. Anytime I give a pick on here, most likely I'd say there's a 95% chance I got to bet in myself. I take my picks. So, I mean, I'm not trying to lose anyone money or actually be an intentional clown. I'm just accidentally a clown. So
what you're saying is you're not Skip Bayless.
Yeah, exactly. Every clownish thing I say, if it's clownish to you, it's clown at heart.
Yeah, and the Yankees were a good measuring stick. It wasn't all bad. I know they got swept, and that's a disgrace. That can't happen. But like, there were some things to take away. Like, they're on par with the Yankees. I don't care what anyone says. When Jimenez and Robert come back, I mean, I would take the White Sox rotation over theirs all day, every day. But I mean, a couple managerial decisions, a couple extra hits here and there, it's a different series.
Yeah, I'm not sold on the Yankees yet. I'm not. I'm sure I'll still get hate for it, but I can't wait for that first Red Sox series. They're not even the best team in their division, and to me, they're not even the second best team in their division. So, I'll mention who I think the best team is a little bit later when we get into more of the MLB talk. I want to talk about this team a little bit, but we'll save it for then.
Yeah, for sure. Like, the White Sox just had an unlucky, and like, again, no excuses. They got swept. Credit to the Yankees. They played well. I love Garrett Cole. He's one of the best pitchers in the league, one of the best ever, really. And, they deserve to sweep because the White Sox didn't play their best. I believe when both teams are at their best, the White Sox have a chance to beat them, and they will get their chance later in the year. And the next time they play is at Field of Dreams. So that should be really fun.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. Have the White Sox even been at their best this year? I'm going to say no.
Well, the 6-game winning streak was nice.
It was nice. I don't think that's the best this team can be.
No, absolutely not. I mean, if like Leury Garcia leads Major League Baseball in runners left in scoring position, which is, that bat would be one of Robert or Jimenez if that injury never happened.
Yeah, it seems that's been a problem for the White Sox in terms of leaving men on scoring position or on base and ending the inning. That's been kind of a problem for them the past like 2 or 3 years.
It's good and bad, though.
Yeah, it's good you getting guys on base, but
yes. So when your best, or I guess I would call Jimenez their second best run producer, that's 5 or 6 extra wins right there.
Yeah, real-time update, the Cubs win.
Yep. They sweep Pittsburgh for the first time since May 2006. 16.
Yeah, they actually did. I wasn't, because I can't put the game on right here. I don't have cable right here. I can only stream off the MLB TV app. So I didn't know that they got that run in the top of 5th. So congrats to Joe Mandel, who had them -1.5. I think he said in the chat. So it's always good when you get that run line cover late in the game like that.
Absolutely. So back to the Sox. I think they have a chance to be better than the Yankees. I believe that when you replace someone like Leury Garcia or Billy Hamilton with Jimenez and Robert, that is a significant upgrade. And they're in first place right now with the 3rd best winning percentage in the American League without 2 pillars of the organization. Exactly. That would be like if the Cubs lost Bryant and Baez. They probably wouldn't have the success that they're having without their 2 best players, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I have a question for you, and I don't know if you plan on talking about this, but is Giolito, is he like back? Is he back to, I would say so too. Yeah.
And he's going to get a chance to face the Orioles, which they're one of the worst lineups in the league, which should help boost his confidence even more because baseball's a confidence game. That's why when people say like, oh, he beat the Orioles or, oh, he beat the Tigers, I don't care. He faced a major league lineup and he shut them down. That helps with his confidence for when he does play the Yankees or the Astros or the Dodgers. And Giolito and Lynn didn't get to face the Yankees. I would have liked to see that. But, I mean, they did get to play the St. Louis Cardinals, and they were very good.
Yeah, I mean, that was my biggest concern is, Giolito not playing to the Giolito we saw last year. Yeah, it was getting kind of replaced with the play of Lance Lynn and Rodon. But now that if all 3 of them start really cooking.
And Dylan Cease has been amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it just keeps getting better and better for the White Sox. So
Dallas Keuchel's their number 6. We talked about this on their last show, but he's not going to get – Michael Kopech's not going to take his spot, but he will eventually. And Michael Kopech had a little bit of an injury yesterday. The White Sox announced it as a sore hamstring. So we're hoping that he's back really soon and that's not too much of a lingering thing. But, man, that guy is good.
Yeah, and I was looking at Crochet's stats earlier as well. And that man, he's like, I think he's got a .7 ERA or something like that. And yeah, he doesn't have as big of a sample size as like some other pitchers, but I mean, he's
No, one of his tougher outings was his most recent one, and he loaded the bases, and Liam Hendricks came in and got 3 straight strikeouts to end the inning without any foul to Crochet. People ripped on Crochet for that. It's like he's gonna mess up every now and then. Not every inning is gonna be perfect this season for him. Let me tell you something. That guy was drafted last summer, June of 2020. Do you know how often guys get drafted and play in the major leagues that exact same season? Almost never. Chris Sale was the last one to do it for the White Sox before Crochet, and the only reason Crochet did it was because of COVID and there was no minor league season. He wasn't able to go play for Kannapolis or even Birmingham last season. Like, he went to the White Sox Schaumburg squad and they called him up and he was awesome. I mean, Crochet's going to have his issues here and there. He's a very young pitcher. He has elite arm talent.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I'm excited. And I'm excited to see him. You know, when a guy who's that skilled and is that good of a pitcher, I want to see them start games. That's what I like to see. So I'm excited for the future of Crochet.
Yeah, and you saw the comment about Engel coming back and improving the White Sox with his glove and the bat. I couldn't agree more with that either. Because even if you replace Garcia or Billy Hamilton with Adam Engel's not Jimenez or Robert, but he certainly is a pretty good hitter. And he already, in his first game back with AAA Charlotte Knights 2 nights ago, he hit a bomb in the 9th inning to tie the game. So Adam Engel's going to be a significant upgrade for them. I think the White Sox are not at full strength, and they look like they're at full strength based on their record. And it could be even better. And I somewhat agree with Santiago about La Russa and injuries stopping them, but so far, both of those things have existed, and it hasn't stopped them. They look like one of the best teams in the American League. If they get Jimenez and Robert back, and La Russa just gets slightly, marginally better, then they have a chance to win the World Series.
Now, what do you mean by La Russa getting better?
I would say,
Do you think a guy like that, like, he seems to have his way of doing things and there's no changing it?
how's your Yermin Mercedes done since last?
Well, that's what I have written down. When I knew you were going to ask about him, and in his past week, he has 4 hits and 21 at bats, batting 190 with only 1 RBI. And I have literally written under that in my opinion, I think it has 100% to do with the fact that, like, he's rattled. He feels probably he doesn't have the trust from his coach. Like, it's just not a good relationship right there with La Russa and Mercedes after the comments that were made publicly and the whole incident that happened with the Twins.
I couldn't agree with you more. And if those things don't get fixed, then I agree with Santiago. I don't think Yermin Mercedes is the key to White Sox success. He's done a brilliant job replacing Jimenez in the DH role this year. And then you got Andrew Vaughn playing left field. But I certainly think that the team is talented enough to overcome these things if they get their guys healthy. And Adam Engel coming back is a huge step.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, Mercedes, the White Sox, we said before that they're probably where they're at because of the random outbreak of him and how good he's been for this team. And now it's really, he's been kind of struggling lately, and we hope he gets better, but I relate it directly to that.
Yeah, I like the idea of playing the Orioles coming up here because, like,
it's a good way to get out of a slump. If you're playing a team that just is struggling worse than you are, you know, the Orioles have lost, you said 9 in a row.
Yep.
So, I mean, here's your chance for everyone to just kind of focus up, put everything behind you in the past, 6 games that you've played, and everyone break your slump against the Orioles.
Absolutely. I love Yoan Moncada in this series. For my bettors, I'm betting him to hit a home run. If he doesn't tonight, do it tomorrow. If he doesn't, he's going to hit a home run in this series.
I'm going to assume we got some righties coming up.
He's a switch hitter.
Yeah, I bet he likes batting lefty better.
They actually face a lefty tonight, I believe, which is great.
I don't
Um,
think I've ever seen. I mean, I'm probably just drawing a blank. I don't think I can picture him hitting a home run righty.
I can. There was a time early in his career he tied the game against the Astros batting righty. I remember like Marisnik chased it down and it ended up leaving the ballpark. Um, Today's his birthday. He shares a birthday with the greatest player in Chicago White Sox history, Frank Thomas. Do you see any correlation with the face of the rebuild having the same birthday with the face of the franchise all time?
Um,
Is that the baseball gods work at hand?
yeah, you could say thank you, Red Sox, for that. But yeah.
You want to talk about that really quick? I kind of do.
Well, and I was kind of trying to see. It's also that's what I saw. You mentioned that it was the big Hertz birthday and Johan's birthday. I saw it on Twitter. It was someone's birthday, and I was drawing a massive blank. And it's Chris Wagner of the Boston Bruins.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for that. I'm sure our baseball watching audience just loves to know Boston Bruins birth heritage.
Yeah, I didn't remember who it was. I just remembered there was a birthday.
Yeah. Yoan Moncada and Frank Thomas, for those watching that are interested in the White Sox. I totally think that once those guys come back, this team has a chance to do something really special. Carlos Rodon, he's been outstanding this season, and he's kind of been lacking the run support. He's gotten 2 runs of support in his last 3 starts. That's not going to get it done. And he's only allowed 2 hits in his last 2 starts. He allowed 1 hit yesterday and took the L.
Yeah, if you look at his numbers, I don't want to say he's the best pitcher for the White Sox right now by far because Lance Lynn's numbers are pretty comparable. But yeah, when you watch him play, like it's been Rodon this year for sure.
Absolutely. And that's technically on paper your 5th starter. If Dallas Keuchel can figure it out, you add Michael Kopech to the mix. Dylan Cease has really only had 1 mediocre outing in the last month or 2. I love this rotation, and Carlos Rodon is a huge reason why. And I mean, he was the number 3 overall pick for a reason. He's got all the talent in the world, and he's healthy, and he's feeling good.
Yeah, I'm starting to think with this White Sox rotation this year, it's a lot less of numbered. It's not really a numbered rotation, it seems like you kind of look at the matchup and who's going to go. It's not really, ace on ace, like whoever the ace is for the Orioles, you kind of just go with your own rotation. There's no numbers for this rotation. I don't look at one guy and be like, he's the number 1 ace, at least not yet. Eventually you want it to get that way probably, but
it kind of leaves it where you can play the matchup game in the playoffs.
Exactly. You don't know who would start right now. It probably would be Rodon right now in game 1 if you had to call someone an ace. You don't think?
I think they would start Giolito.
I see it depends on the matchup. It honestly depends on the matchup, and that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, I mean, Rodon's a lefty and Giolito's a righty.
Exactly.
So that helps Lance Lynn. It seems like there's a new guy you could claim as the ace every week, which adds to your point. The only guy who's really struggled but not been as lights out, I guess you could say, is Keuchel.
Mm-hmm.
And just imagine
some good outings too.
Yeah, no doubt. And just imagine it's the playoffs, right? The Sox have a 3-0 lead in the series, right? And all of a sudden, you thought it was going to be Dallas Keuchel making the start. All of a sudden, they announce it's Michael Kopech. And he's coming out there, and he's looking to lock down a series. I could see it. So, I mean, having options is good. I could also see them, saving Kopech for, being the super weapon in the bullpen like they have all season, if they know that their starters are going to give them good outings. Right now, I would guess that it goes Giolito, Lynn, Rodon, Cease. And then Keuchel's in the bullpen with Kopech.
Oh yeah, I could totally see, a playoff game and you're up by 2 runs, 8th inning. Here comes Michael Kopech, maybe even 7th inning, depending on how the starter went. And then Kopech just coming in and shutting it down. He goes, and depending on how his arm's doing and where he's at pitch wise, I could see him finishing games, and it also depends on how Liam Hendricks is doing. But yeah, the bullpen is definitely a good problem to have right now in terms of who do you go to?
Yeah, I like the other day Lynn went 8, and then Kopech came in and did the last 2 innings.
Exactly.
I also am okay. let's say Giolito goes 6, Kopech goes 2, Hendricks 1. That's a great Crochet doing 1 or 2. Aaron Bummer's struggling a little bit, but I know he has nasty, dirty stuff that if he figures it out, he's one of the best relievers in the game. Cody Hoyer might have the best, like, pure stuff out of all the bullpen pitchers not named Hendricks or Kopech. So, I mean, I totally think that the bullpen hasn't lived up to the expectation quite yet, but I definitely think there's a chance it does happen over the next month or two.
Yeah, was that Bummer who came in yesterday?
Gave up a shot, yeah. Laro asks, who do you guys think will win the MVP first, TA Yo-Yo or Luis Robert? Ooh, that's a very interesting question.
I know. I saw that question, and I was going to get to that because I have my answer, but I'm very interested to hear yours. For me,
you first.
You want me to go first? For me, it's Tim, and that simply has to do with what seems to me is the consistency. It seems like Tim Anderson is just consistently awesome, where there's really no slumps in his game. He's the leadoff guy, and he just seems to always start it off right. So for me, it's Tim Anderson.
And if Tim Anderson's the face of the franchise, in my opinion, and I also think that for better or worse, increases guys' chances to win the MVP. Like, if Shohei Ohtani and Trout have the same exact season, who's going to win the MVP out of the two? It's going to be Trout. Because, like, I just feel like there's a bias towards, like, the face of the franchise type players.
It's impossible for them to have the same exact season.
Well, you get what I'm saying, though. Like,
for me, it's Shohei all the way because, like, most likely if he has the same season as Trout, he's also probably got like a 2 ERA or something.
It's true. But, I mean, so that gives TA the edge there. I think Luis Robert actually is the best player of the three because, I mean, he's an elite hitter. Like, he went out hitting 313, I think it is, and he's a machine in the outfield. Like, there was that one game we were at, and he caught a ball that he had no business catching.
Yeah.
Like, without diving. He's basically a defensive end that plays baseball.
Yeah, I wanted to say him because he's my favorite player. You know, he's the first jersey I got of this era of White Sox. And but for consistency and it seems like Tim Anderson's never in a slump.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I would go Robert just because of the defense. Moncada's good defensively too. He's actually better on defense than any third baseman I can remember in most.
I'd say all three of them are like very better than average, solid at their defense.
Yeah, he used to be terrible, and he's really picked it up. He made his first error like a week ago. Yohan Moncada makes bad throws when he has all the time in the world to do it, but when it's an impossible throw, it's right on the money to Abreu. It's the strangest thing. Like when he does the thing where he runs quickly and he like scoops it and then throws it.
Mm-hmm. That's like a common third baseman thing, yeah. Yeah,
he's better at that than like taking time and then making the throw. Those balls always seem to end up in the dirt, and the ones on the run are better. I think those three, though, take a back seat to a guy he didn't mention.
You're going to say... Is he hurt?
Yep.
Oh, Eloy.
I think Eloy. I don't care if he stinks in the field. I believe he has the offensive capabilities of being so good and so productive that people won't even care that he's like a below average outfielder. 120 RBIs and 50 bombs is possible in a full season for Jimenez. I truly believe that from the bottom of my heart. And he's the only player on the White Sox that I've heard actually bring up that being a goal of his. And I'm not saying like it makes him a selfish player. Like obviously Jimenez wants to win. Nobody loves winning more than him. I see Lara in the comments, the hi mom, like he loves having fun. And I truly believe that means you want to win. And I know that Eloy knows that him winning an MVP will lead to a lot of winning. And he's the only one I've ever heard bring it up. And he says, I want to be an MVP. That's my take. I think Eloy Jimenez will be an MVP one day. I don't give a crap about the defense. Has Big Papi ever been in MVP discussion? Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And so whether Jimenez is a DH or a left fielder, I think to be an MVP, if he's playing left field and not DHing, he probably needs to be like an average defender. Like just make the routine plays, man, and don't try karate chopping a wall or diving into seats through a screen. But like, as long as he's not a complete dummy in the outfield, he has an MVP level bat, and I'm sticking with that.
Yeah, where do you see him batting in the lineup once he comes back?
Fifth.
Fifth, right
Right.
after Abreu.
Yeah. If I was constructing the lineup right now, I actually would
Wasn't
put.
your mean bat 5?
If I was the. Your mean is amazing. The burger was delicious. He's fun. He's not even in the same stratosphere as Eloy Jimenez. And I know people are going to look at his 353 batting average or whatever it is now after his little slump. And he's fun and he's kind of like, he's a relatable dude because he's like, he looks like me and you out there. But like, Eloy Jimenez is an elite hitter. He's as good of a power hitter as there is in baseball right now. And Yermin's not that. No one on the White Sox is. And maybe Luis Abreu, but Abreu's never going to hit 50. Like, he'll drive in 110 runs, which is awesome, and play elite defensive first base these days. But I believe Jimenez, the sky is the limit for his bat. I truly believe that. And if I was the manager, I'm not. Me saying I think he's going to be fifth is based on what I think a major league manager is going to do. If I was the manager, TA would bat first, Moncada would bat second, Abreu third, Eloy fourth. And then I would put Robert fifth. I forgot about Robert. You could bat him second.
I kind of like him later in the lineup, and that's where he's been.
Yeah, whoever's second between Moncada and Robert, the other's fifth for me. And Jimenez is fourth and Abreu's third because they're the two biggest. You want your premier run producers batting third and fourth, in my opinion, because it always seems to line up that those guys come up to bat in the clutch situation in the ninth, right?
Yeah.
So I want Abreu and Jimenez batting third and fourth. That protection for Abreu with Eloy behind is beautiful. Yeah, I agree. Because Abreu, he gets protection from Moncada hitting ahead of him too. So those guys being ahead, like you get Robert back and Jimenez. Adam Eaton's probably batting eighth. Madrigal's the best ninth hitter in the league. No nine hitter has ever hit 3,000 home runs or 3,000 hits, and that's what Madrigal wants to do. And it's crazy that he might.
All he needs is 2 strikes.
A perfect White Sox lineup before we wrap up the White Sox for me. I don't know if you're going to agree or disagree with this. I got TA first, Luis Robert second, Yohan Moncada third, Abreu fourth, Jimenez fifth, Grandal sixth. Who am I missing? Right field. Oh, Yermin Mercedes seventh, Adam Eaton eighth, Madrigal ninth. That would be my perfect because.
Did you say Robert?
Yeah, Robert's
earlier.
Second.
Yeah, gotcha.
Madrigal is a second leadoff man. On days TA gets a day off, Madrigal leads off. And he's brilliant. Like, he got 3 hits as the 9 hitter on Wednesday or on Tuesday and 3 hits as a leadoff hitter yesterday. That's incredible. And I remember learning in Little League, the 9th hitters, it was kind of like a tactic to make the kid batting 9th feel better about himself. But in the major leagues, this is true. The 9 hitter is a second leadoff hitter.
Shout out to any Little League player who bat 9th.
We batted 3rd or 4th every year, not to brag. But
years he put me 5th,
which it's not an insult.
I liked batting 5th and I had a reason. I didn't hate, not having the bat in the first inning.
For me, 5th is like a power guy who has less power but could still protect the 4 hitter. Because I would say the 4 hitter is seen as the guy who protects the 3 guy. That's why they call it cleanup. But 5th is almost like second cleanup.
Yeah, I would say I looked at 5th as the guy who maybe you got 4th as your power guy. You have obviously we know the top 3, and then I looked at 5th as the guy who's power guy, but also probably better if he just needs to make contact than the 4 guy.
Yeah, so let's imagine the 4 guy makes the second out of the inning. Now you have the 5th guy who can almost recreate what this 5th, like that's how a World Series lineup is constructed, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You used to see it. You see it with the Cubs now. Happ, Bryant, Rizzo, Baez, Contreras. Contreras he can hit for power, he can hit for contact. I think Contreras is a brilliant 5-hitter. You don't see it too often from catchers, but I mean, on the south and the north side, they have a catcher who can do that. Grandal walks a lot more. So, I mean, yeah, it's totally interesting with this lineup construction. I actually like discussing lineup construction.
Yeah, so we got to just start the hashtag now. Make Vinny manager.
I would help. If I was the manager of the White Sox, they'd win 100 games without question.
And here's how, and you'd put everything you have into it. I'm convinced if someone offered you the job right now, 0 pay, you would take it.
Without question.
You would give up your life, 0 pay, to go work as the manager for the Chicago White Sox. There it is. Hashtag make Vinny manager.
It wouldn't even be a question. I would do it for free, and we would just schedule this show around it. Because
right. Marshall doing it in the clubhouse.
Evan Marshall would not have come out in the 9th. Like, you can't have Liam Hendricks would have started that inning in the series finale against the Yankees because we got to save Liam Hendricks for the 10th. You got to get to the 10th first. I would have remembered that I have Garrett Crochet to pitch in the 10th, knowing that we're the road team, and Tim Anderson would have started on second, I believe it was. I can have Adam Eaton bunt him over to third. Boom, Moncada hits him in. I mean, stuff like that just drives me crazy. I agree. Hashtag make Vinny manager. I'm not perfect. I don't know everything about baseball. Tony La Russa has forgotten more than I know, but I definitely think some of the 10th inning rules affected the way that we all see baseball now, and he just hasn't gotten it. We're trying to get to the 10th inning. What are you talking about? You need to have you saw what Liam Hendricks can do. He struck out the side in a non-save situation. In a hold situation, I'm throwing him out there too.
I want to get your little rant on your thought on the 3 sack bunts.
I think it was 4.
4?
That is absolutely... I think you have to put effort into being that stupid. I think it's easier to be smart, like top of the line, high IQ smart, than it is to be stupid enough to try it 4 times. Let me tell you something. If you like it once or twice here and there, I hate it at all times. I never like it. What's Adam Eaton's batting average? Do you have it handy? Adam,
I will.
Be like,
I'll pull it up.
Be like 240, 250 or something. My guess is that his batting average outweighs his successful bunt average. And a guy like that who's shown early in the season that he's capable of having like a couple clutch moments here and there, it's ridiculous to me to have guys like that bunting. Like I've even seen like Yohan Moncada show. Like, what are we doing?
Adam Eaton's batting average is 199.
Yeah, that's terrible. So maybe that's one time to think about it. But 4 times in the same game, man, when it didn't work any of the other times, you ended up getting shut out. And you have a lineup that includes Jose Abreu, Yermin Mercedes, Tim Anderson. Like, is it going to stop when Robert and Jimenez come back? Because then you got guys coming out of the lineup that are bunt candidates like Billy Hamilton and Leury Garcia. Is it going to go away when those guys come back? Because once those guys come back, 1 through 9 are pretty much all 250 or better hitters.
Mm-hmm.
And like high OPS power. Dude, you ended up being down by 4. You need to score runs, and the best way to score runs is to hit. I hate giving away outs. I can't stand giving away free outs.
Yeah, I don't hate bunting as much as you do and as much as a lot of people do nowadays, but there's a time and place for it. And, you can argue that, that was the time, but I don't know.
So 4 out of 27 outs were wasted.
Yeah.
Like free. Here you go. Have an out. They got guys who can steal bases. I know we're not having Yasmani or Jose. Those guys are slow as turtles. But, I can't stand watching the teams we cheer for, whether it be the Cubs or the White Sox, give away free outs like that. The Brew Crew took the lead over the Padres, by the way.
That's a smart non-live bet by me.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's my stuff on the White Sox and the Cubs. We're about an hour in here. Got a little bit to go.
Was that a perfect half hour each team?
I think we might have given the White Sox 5 minutes more.
Yeah, because of the intro and everything.
But last week we gave the Cubs a little more, I think. So
we're good on us.
Even on this show. Let's talk about Major League Baseball. we're going to start off with something that's a little more sentimental. Not trying to get all mushy on anyone here, but the White Sox have the Orioles coming to town, and the Orioles have the comeback player of the year on their team. Trey Mancini battled cancer, and I don't know. I've never battled cancer in my life, and neither have you, but we know people who have, and it's not particularly easy. And Trey Mancini, he did it. He beat it, and he's back in Major League Baseball. And he's not just back in Major League Baseball. He is back in Major League Baseball. He has 11 home runs, 42 RBIs, 30 runs scored, and an OPS of 873. If he gets that OPS up just a little bit more, we're talking MVP. So I love seeing it. I could see him getting traded because they could probably get a lot for him, and the Orioles are going absolutely nowhere anytime soon. I would love to hear your thoughts on the man, Trey Mancini.
Yeah, he's been very good, and he's been especially good as of late. In his last 15 games, he's batting .357 with 15 RBIs and 5 of those 11 home runs just in the past 2 weeks. And like you said, he's got that that 873 OPS leads his team. The Orioles aren't the greatest team, but he's definitely been a bright spot for this team in this 9-game losing streak even.
Yeah, they kind of remind me of the Cleveland Indians. They have that one guy in their lineup. For the Indians, it's Jose Ramirez. For the Orioles, it's Trey Mancini, who you shut that one guy down and you have a good chance to win the ball game. Now, the difference between the Tribe and the O's is pitching. The O's don't have very great pitching, which is why I think both of us are in complete agreement that the White Sox should take that series against the Orioles, which we didn't even preview their series, but I mean, we're kind of doing it right here with the O's.
Isn't it a 4-game series?
Yes, I believe they should take 3 of 4, if not 4 of 4. I mean,
yeah,
but
I would say minimum. You got to win 3 of 4.
But what are your thoughts on Mancini?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think necessarily. I mean, you mentioned him getting traded. It's a possibility because it seems like the Orioles they need to do something, whether it be a complete rebuild, like if that's what they're doing right now. I don't know too much about the Orioles. They're in the middle of a rebuild.
They're in the middle of one right now, and they've had the number 1 overall pick, and they got, I forget his name now, Fleischman, I want to say it is, something like that. He's a very good player, and they have a couple nice prospects in the tank, but they didn't have a Chris Sale to trade away like the White Sox did, where they get Kopech and Moncada. Like, some people forget those kinds of things. Like, you need to hit on these draft picks when you're in a position the Orioles are. Like, the Cubs kind of did it. They didn't have like a superstar to trade away. Like, they traded Samardzija and got Russell, who turned out to be a scumbag human being, but at the same time, he was a great player for them before we knew those things. And outside of that, it's like you just got to rebuild from scratch and draft, develop, sign players. So they didn't get probably the best return from Machado back in the day. People probably even forget that he played for them at all because he went to the Dodgers. They lost in the World Series, and then he signed the big ticket with the Padres. But I don't know. We'll see what they do with Mancini.
Yeah, I would say with the season he's having, regardless of everything that he's been through and has happened, I think you got to trade him. You're in the middle of your rebuild. You're not even going to sniff a top 3 spot in your division. You take this as an opportunity to get something for him to build off of and add to your rebuild.
Yeah, he'll certainly probably be a highlight of the All-Star game. I don't see the O's trading him before that, if they do at all, because he's going to be the representative for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts at first base in the All-Star game, because the starters are oftentimes through votes. I know I've been receiving updates via email through my other job about all-star voting and all that stuff. So I definitely think he can receive a lot of fanfare that'll help him become a starter in the all-star game. And I just think it'll be a great moment for baseball fans in general.
Exactly.
I have him on fantasy squad too.
No one cares about your fantasy team.
Damn it. All right, I know.
I actually care about your fantasy team. You started off 5-0, and now you're like 5-2, and I took over first place, so I'm better at fantasy baseball than you. There, I care about your fantasy team. I'm sorry.
Are you winning right now? I am, so I don't want to hear it.
This is a whole weekend ahead of us. I'm down 3.
Blah blah blah. Do you have Trevor Bauer? I know you don't.
No, but I do have Jose Altuve.
I would like to talk about Jose Altuve and Trevor Bauer right now. Wouldn't you?
I would love nothing more, even though It made me incredibly angry, everything we're about to talk about.
Not the first time. I got him playing the Giants on my notes. He played the Giants in between this show and our last one.
Oh, I don't have that. I don't. You talk about that. I'll talk about yesterday.
Okay. Trevor Bauer, extremely polarizing Major League Baseball player.
Slowly becoming my favorite pitcher. Like, I don't know if it's because of his videos and his off-field antics. I love every second of Trevor Bauer.
A lot of people don't like him.
I know, and I could see why. Maybe that's why I love him.
He's not for everyone. Just like me and you aren't for everyone. Like, a lot of people probably think me and you are clowns. He likes to go like this to the crowd and do his sword celebration and make Giants announcers angry.
The Astros announcers were talking about it yesterday, how like he's not for everyone. And you could tell the way they were talking about it. Like, it seemed like they were a couple old guys who weren't about it either. And I was like, screw you.
Yeah. And dude, you watch his vlogs and you see how much of a nice guy he actually is. And he's doing all these things with a purpose. It's not like, hey, I'm going to wake up today and be an asshole. It's, I'm going to promote the game of baseball. I want people to look at baseball and be like, oh, that's the game Trevor Bauer plays. I want to watch. And we know that baseball is probably the third out of the four major sports. And, you know, the two sports we cover for the Barroom Network are 3 and 4. And we want to help make people appreciate the game more. We talked about that with the Pitching Ninja last week. And that's exactly where I'm at with Bauer. So when he played the Giants and he shoved and he gave the booing crowd the, hey, I can't hear you, that's awesome. And he's an elite pitcher. He signed a big ticket. He won the Cy Young last year, and he called it the Mickey Mouse Cy Young because people were ripping on him for winning it in the short season, as if that makes it any less hard to win when you're in the same league as like DeGrom. Like, he outdueled DeGrom last season to win the Cy Young. And he's just so much fun to watch. And last night he played the Houston Astros. I'm going to let you get into it, but I just want to say Trevor Bauer was one of the people who kind of led the way in clowning the Astros for their cheating scandal. And the two biggest names involved in the cheating scandal, Jose Altuve and Carlos Correa, each went yard off of him. And I think, as much as I love Trevor Bauer, I actually think I'm going to buy a jersey to wear on this show. As much as that probably annoyed him to see those two, that's good for baseball as well.
Yeah, it definitely makes it like, I can't wait for the next game that these teams play each other. If it's again this year, I think it probably will be.
Yeah.
Picture this. Here's Joey, late night game. It wasn't that late, actually.
No, it's Houston, so they started.
Yeah. It wasn't that late. I haven't really been able to sit down and watch a Trevor Bauer start, like, opening pitch yet this year. I've seen his highlights. I've seen, a few of the vlogs where he talks. Like, the thing about the vlogs I love is like his off the field stuff. But here's me. I finally get a chance to sit down and watch Trevor Bauer, pitch and do his thing. 2-1 count, high fastball. Jose Altuve takes it 406 feet. It was so depressing. It's just like my emotion and my investment in this game just totally like went to shit. I was like mad as hell the rest of the night. And then, like you mentioned, Carlos Correa does it again. He had a 2-run bomb, I think it was. And, the Dodgers were never able to come back for it. It was probably Bauer's, it's his third loss of the year. And I don't know in his other games, but he only had 3 strikeouts. He had 4 walks and 2 home runs. That's got to be his worst game of the season thus far, right?
Yeah, and he got out of a lot of the walks were in the first inning, and he got out of that jam only giving up 1 run.
They had bases loaded in the first inning, and he only got out of it
with base home run. It's almost like a home run rattled him a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. And they were just never able to come back from it. I thought they were going to put on a little rally late. They did score 2 runs, but the Astros were just the better team. And I think the Dodgers won the game before that. It was only a 2-game series. Yeah, the Dodgers handed it to him 9-2. In Houston. So you kind of figured that game 2 would go a little differently. I guess that's a pigeon move by me for betting the Dodgers, but now we look to San Francisco. So I do follow the Dodgers a lot, and 4-game series with San Fran coming up.
The Dodgers are kind of forming like a brotherly bond between us too, because like we just talk about the Dodgers so much.
Yeah, and I'm not in any way, shape, or form a bandwagon fan. I was rooting for the Dodgers every time they lost the World Series leading up to their finally win, and then they got my favorite player of all time. So you can say what?
Incorrect. There's a
Favorite,
time you were rooting against the Dodgers in the World Series.
the Giants?
No, they can't play the Giants in the World Series. The Red Sox.
Well, that don't count. That doesn't count. Obviously, in 2018, I was like, yeah, but in the playoffs leading up to that, besides against the Red Sox, and then my favorite player, Mookie Betts, goes to the Dodgers. Like, it's just, I had no reason to ever hate the Dodgers. If they would have beat the Red Sox in that World Series, I might be completely different, have a different like mindset against them. But yeah, obviously in 2018, I was rooting for the Red Sox. I mean, come on now.
I didn't even know you were wearing that hat. Yeah, I mean, I was rooting for the Rays last year. I wrote a tweet last October that the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Tampa Bay Rays would all win their respective titles. Okay, the Lightning win the cup. Vinny nails one of the three. Oh, the freaking Tampa Bay Rays lose the World Series. And then the Bucks went on to win the Super Bowl. I was so close for that being right. The all Tampa prediction. But I mean,
Even if you would have parlayed that for them to win their respective like divisions or conferences. So if you would have parlayed all three teams going to the championship, you probably would have made fucking bank.
I know, and that wasn't a freak tweet to try and get clout. It did get clout. A lot of Yankee fans telling me I'm stupid, but who's stupid now? I definitely actually thought that was going to happen.
So what's happening this year? You probably got. I mean, the Red Sox are back. The Bruins are, game 1 against the Islanders on Saturday. Mac Jones.
The Patriots are going to suck.
Mac Jones is going to take over the start.
The Patriots.
I'm predicting it here on the Barroom Network. Boston Bruins Cup, Boston Red Sox World Series, New England Patriots Super Bowl.
I'm sure that little clip that we're going to record later is going to work out great for you. Wow. I kind of want the Patriots to suck, and they're my second favorite team, just because I'm that like hard for Tom. Like he was the system. Anyway, we're off topic.
Football podcast coming up soon.
I mean, I would. Lara wants to know what fueled you guys into loving sports the way that you do. For me, for Joey, it's the Boston Bruins. For me, I would say it creates a sense of magic that I can't feel anywhere else. Like you have your things in life like family, friends, and those are all great. But when you sit down and you relate to certain teams and certain players, and it just means something that if you get it, you get it. There are people that get it. I think all involved with the Barroom Network that covers sports get it. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it. Joey gets it just by looking at his room. It's a sense of magic that you can't feel anywhere else. Like ESPN has a commercial that like there's nothing like sports, and there just isn't. Like I love music, I love movies, I'm into all that stuff, but nothing gives me the thrill and exhilaration that like the big game, like the Minnesota Wild are about to play the Vegas Golden Knights in a Game 7 on Friday. It's hard to recreate the sense of angst I feel getting excited to watch that series. And
yeah, to feed off of what you said about that emotion that you can't get anywhere else, I believe every respective hobby, whether it be you could be like a huge fan of a TV show or a big movie guy or a food fanatic or something, I believe everything that you can have that emotion for has its respective emotion. But I can't recreate someone else's emotion that they get from a hobby that they have by watching sports, and they can't recreate what I'm feeling from the sports. And like you said, like everyone has their number one favorite team. Some people don't. Some people just love the league. For me, that number one favorite team, there is nothing in life that can recreate the feeling I get when my favorite team does something good or does something bad or fails or succeeds. There's no way to recreate that feeling, and that's why I love it. And on top of that, that's from the fan and watching perspective. We both grew up, spending 20 years of our lives playing and learning certain sports and having that competitive feeling of wanting to win and being involved in it. That's another reason right there of why you love sports.
And I think I also love the way it has taught me to treat others, because in life, I believe that not many things can get accomplished unless we work as a team. Very few things in life happen with just one individual. So this show would be nothing without me, and it would be nothing without you. And then we have Aldo, who is our great leader, and without him producing the show the way he does, with the graphics and everything you see going on around me and Joey's talking heads, it all comes together as a team. And I believe nothing teaches that more than sports.
Couldn't have said it better. So fantastic question, and thank you for being involved in the chat today, Laro.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff from him. So we wanted Bauer to lead into the NL West discussion. Why don't you take over? I know you got some big thoughts on the NL West.
Yeah, it's been by far my favorite division as a whole to watch. And I'm talking like as a whole. And you could even, scrape off the Rockies and D-backs. And I'm still going to say it because the Padres, as we talked about earlier, the Dodgers and the Giants as of late have been so fun. Those late night games, those West Coast games, I've been loving every second of it. And all three teams are fantastic. You got the Padres sitting at 32-18, the Dodgers in second at 30-19, and they're actually tied with the Giants at 30-19. And the Dodgers are about to play a 4-game series against the Giants. So to me, that is primetime baseball. This 4-game series, Dodgers and Giants, is going to be must watch in my opinion. I believe it's in San Fran, or no, it's in LA.
What a great rivalry, by the way. It's
exactly
right there. When both teams are good, it's second only to Yankees, Red Sox, I would say.
It is great baseball right now, and I'm so excited. I don't know if the Dodgers announced a starting pitcher for tonight, but I believe it's Wood going for the Giants.
I'm not sure.
Regardless, I'm super excited for this series, and then we get to see the Padres later playing against Chicago. So I'm just excited for this division as a whole to keep watching it. I believe it's going to be this close of a battle throughout the entire year. I think the Giants are legit. We kind of expected it from the Padres and Dodgers, but I think the Giants are legit. So I'm expecting this to keep going all year long.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You got Wood tonight, Wood tonight, Bueller tomorrow, Urias Saturday, Kershaw Sunday. So I definitely think a lot of people don't even realize this. Why are the Dodgers and Giants such big rivals? Well, it's because they play in the same division. Do you know the other reason?
I just figure San Fran, LA. I don't know.
San Fran, LA. Yeah, sure. How about Brooklyn, New York? They moved from being rivals in New York to being rivals in Los Angeles.
The Brooklyn Dodgers versus the New York Giants is what you're saying?
Exactly. They just moved. The rivalry literally crossed the country. So, and it never changed. I love when both teams are good. The Giants are kind of like a scrappy little underdog so far this season, and I cannot wait to watch them play. It's going on the TV tonight. I love the late games especially. That'll be my nighttime. I know we got some hockey tonight too late. It's going to be my nighttime go-to for sure.
Yeah, and if you want to move up in the standings a little bit to the AL East, I just want to quickly talk about the Tampa Bay Rays, who I've also been kind of a big fan of this year. And when we talked about the Yankees, I said they're the third team in their division. The Rays, they just ended an 11-game winning streak. And in I believe the 10th game of that winning streak, they were playing against the Blue Jays, and it looked like they were about to lose. And, the pitcher for the Blue Jays comes in, and he actually walked 3 straight batters with bases loaded to blow the lead for them and extend the Rays win streak. So that was really fun to watch. I was watching that on my phone while I was out because I needed to be watching that. And then they won their next game, but then unfortunately lost to the Royals to end that streak. But I'm really excited for the first Yankees-Red Sox series. And, the Rays are playing the Royals again. That series is actually starting right now. So it'll be interesting to see how this weekend plays out in baseball for these two divisions that we just covered.
Yeah, for sure. The Rays just always figure it out. They don't spend a lot of money. Their payroll's not very flexible, and they win. And they got guys on the cheap. If I can take one guy in the league and put him on the White Sox, it'd be Glasnow.
Yeah, I think he started yesterday, was it?
Yeah, he did start yesterday. And our guy Pitching Ninja had some great videos of him just throwing nasty, nasty, nasty stuff.
It was a phenomenal game. The Royals didn't get their first run to the top of the ninth, so
Yeah, I definitely like the Rays. I don't know if they're going to make another World Series run just because that's hard, but I definitely think all three of those teams in that division have a chance.
Oh yeah, that to me is going to be another division where it's down to the wire. I think that division and probably that NL West are the two best divisions if you're looking at like the top three teams as a whole. Would you agree?
Yeah, because the only teams in those two divisions combined that are straight trash, I would say, are the Orioles and the Rockies.
Mm-hmm.
The Diamondbacks aren't great, but I also think they're a product of playing in that division. I think they're probably one of the better below 500 teams. And I would say the same thing. The Jays are amazing. Like, they're a product for sure.
Yeah, if the Jays go on a run, who knows? Maybe they pass the Red Sox or the Yankees. I think Tampa's the best team in that division. Just I don't know. I think they got the pitching, the all around pitching.
Jays may have the best starting lineup in the division.
Exactly.
But their pitching is weak. Like, outside of Ryu, who a lot of people don't really like to talk about this for some reason. In the last 2 years, the ERA in the league goes number 1, Jacob deGrom, number 2, Ryu. And when Ryu signed with the Jays, nobody cared. They didn't talk about it.
You mean the Dodgers?
Well, he was on the Dodgers for part of it, but when he signed with the Blue Jays, no one cared.
This is only his second year with the Jays, right?
I know. And
Yeah,
nobody
and
signed there.
you're saying no one wanted to talk about it. You were one of those guys who wanted to talk. I've been on Ryu's like bandwagon for the past 5 years when I played my first fantasy baseball league, and you argued with me that he was the Padres tied it.
Yeah.
That he was not as good as Walker Buehler, and I still to this day think I would take Ryu over Walker Buehler.
Maybe. I mean, Buehler's ceiling is Cy Young. I mean, I know Ryu could probably.
He did win a Cy Young, didn't he?
He came in second to DeGrom, right? Yeah, I believe.
Probably, yeah. Which, I mean, he's going to finish in second place. He obviously had a better year than Walker Buehler that year. I believe that was the same year.
He was the best Dodger pitcher that year.
Yeah,
a couple of Dodgers aced for whatever reason.
I believe it was the same year. So I mean, yeah,
the Blue Jays are not a bad team at all. They're probably a product of their division as well. I think they're better than the Diamondbacks, but if they were in the Central, they'd probably be competing with the White Sox. I like the White Sox pitching way better. But if you took Cleveland's starting rotation and put it on the Blue Jays with that lineup, World Series team. People have Springer now too.
Exactly. Before we go here real quick, the White Sox lineup is out. It's looking like no Tim Anderson again. What do you think of that?
Yeah, that's it's an interesting lineup there. It's definitely one of their better lineups they could put out. Sans Anderson. Magical leading off. He's the second leadoff guy. I said it when Anderson's not playing. He's the leadoff guy. Grandal second. That's interesting. Moncada third. Abreu fourth. Mercedes fifth. Vaughn sixth. Garcia seventh. Hamilton eighth. Mendick ninth. Pitching for the White Sox is Dylan Cease. I wonder if it's just letting Tim have another day off because he actually wasn't great over the weekend. And Mendick has been swinging a nice bat. So it's definitely something worth keeping an eye on. There actually is one more thing I wanted to close with before we go. Joe West. He broke the umpire's all-time record for umpired games played or umpired games. And in the very next game, he threw out Cardinals pitcher Giovanni Gallegos. I think I'm saying his name right, because he had a spot on his hat. And he made him get a new hat. I said he threw him out. I meant to say he just made him get a new hat, and he threw out Cardinals coach Mike Schilt. What's your take on this? Like, the Cubs? I keep saying the Cubs. The Cardinals coach went to the media and kind of gave like a weird press conference after, but he was right in everything he said about baseball having like a dirty little secret with the pitchers with substance. And Anthony Rizzo went on Cap and J Hood a couple weeks ago and talked about how pitchers are using these things to create incredible spin rates. And it's true. It's very clear. Every time you watch Lucas Giolito pitch, He goes like this to his hat before every pitch, sometimes twice. Craig Kimbrell's hat is always disgusting looking. What's your take on this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I would say more pitchers than not have something like that, going on. I want to see if I could see it right now on the Padres pitcher, but I can't get a good look. It's not uncommon at all. And I don't know why he didn't just get a new hat. Like, Joe West isn't going to change his mind right on the spot.
He did get a new hat.
Oh, he never got tossed as well?
No.
Okay, so I mean, I would love to hear what was said, but yeah, I don't necessarily. There needs to be more of there's a big gray area right there because everyone knows kind of it's going on, right? And it just seems like the umpires only decide when they want to make a big deal about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's going to lead to change or a discussion, but it seemed like Schilt in his interview after the game really made a big deal about it.
Oh yeah, I saw that interview, and he argued it was the sunscreen, and then I think he mentioned he didn't know what kind of he mentioned a condition or something, and like even if it was sunscreen, like I don't know, I think it probably was a foreign substance, not sunscreen. But,
that's the only thing he said that I disagree with. Like, dude, get real. But like, I agree with him saying like, not the time, not the place for Joe West to do stuff like that. Of course, it was the game after he broke the all-time umpiring record, and there was actually a big party in the city to celebrate Joe West. So you wonder if he just wanted to do something to make his name out there, whatever. But I mean, whatever, man. If guys, I know foreign substances aren't helping guys like Bauer and Glasnow touch 100 on the scale.
No, absolutely not.
So I don't know. We'll see how that all unfolds over the next couple weeks, but certainly interesting.
Yeah, before we go, I just want to give a pick of a tonight's pick. I'm working on a name. It's a betting pick. I know there's a lot of gamblers here in the chat. A lot of people like to gamble nowadays. It's completely legal. Do so responsibly. At plus 125, the Los Angeles Angels are going into Oakland, and Shohei Ohtani's on the mound. I'm taking the Angels all day. So that's my pick. If you have any suggestions for a name of a Joey pick, that's going to be the only one of the day. But right now, today, my pick is great value, plus 125, the Los Angeles Angels going up against the Oakland A's.
And I would like to read some news from the White Sox. Some interesting stuff here. We talked about Kopech with his injury yesterday, but it looked like he honestly just had a Charlie horse. And some people, I know Ozzy and Scott Podsednik on the post game disagreed with the White Sox saying that it was, what do you call it? Something worse than they announced it. But prior to tonight's game series opener versus Baltimore, the Chicago White Sox have announced the following roster transactions. Right-handed pitcher Michael Kopech is on the bereavement list. Now, as far as I know, that is meaning someone passed away, correct? I believe that means someone passed away and he's leaving to mourn their loss. And they purchased the contract of right-handed pitcher Ryan Burr from AAA Charlotte, transferred Luis Robert to the 60-day injured list, and sent left-handed pitcher Jace Fry on an injury rehabilitation assignment to Charlotte. So, under Major League Baseball rules, Kopech must remain on the bereavement list from a minimum of 3 days and not more than 7. So, that definitely means he'll be back. It's probably not – his injury probably isn't going to keep him out. And I think not having him on a 10-day DL is definitely good news. I hope that if someone passed away in his family or a friend, we wish them well and pray for the family, of course.
Yeah, I also pulled up like the MLB bereavement list definition in addition to what you're seeing right now, the definition of bereavement, and it's when a player finds it necessary to leave the team to attend a serious illness or death of his or his spouse's immediate family.
Yeah, I mean, tough. I hope everything's okay. We're praying for them. I hope he's okay too with his hamstring. So the White Sox need Michael Kopech. And I'm happy to see Jace Fry getting a chance on a rehab assignment because that guy's pretty good.
Absolutely.
And he helped shore up the White Sox bullpen. So that's it for today. It was a great show. I think we got a lot accomplished on this show, don't
Oh
you?
yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of this week in baseball, and every week it's going to be the same thing. So a lot of baseball to talk about.
Yeah, the Cubs and the White Sox both rolling. I think by the time we are at next show, both teams will be feeling very good about themselves. Just a little hunch I have. So, you got anything left before we head out?
Yeah, Josh Hader just coming on the mound for Milwaukee, top of 9. We'll see how this game finishes out. Go Padres.
That's good news. I'm excited. Make sure you follow at Joey Parisi on Twitter, at Vinny Parisi, Deep Dish Teas. It's Deep Dish Teas, right?
Deep Dish Teas is the merch site. Yep, they do incredible work over there. Buy some merch.
Buy merch. It's all great stuff. Make sure you listen to the other shows on the Barroom Network. Me and Joey will be back with you next Wednesday for episode 10 of Bar Down Blackhawk Talk, where we're going to go over the entire first round of the playoffs and discuss what's going to happen in the second round, which might even be underway at that point.
I was going to say, we got breaking news right before the show. If you're a hockey fan, tune in because it'll probably be game 3 of my series, Boston versus New York. There's a lot of series that are still waiting for the matchup. Game 1 is this Saturday at 7 p.m. Central, so it's in Boston. So I'm assuming game 1 will be Saturday. That means game 2 Monday, and game 3 will be Wednesday, right after our show, Wednesday 2 p.m. on the Barroom Network.
Absolutely. I can't wait for that show. I mean, it seems like right when we're done with that show, more happens that we need to talk about. We got wait a whole week. And then I'll also be on with Southburb Pittman on Monday again. So looking forward to doing that with the boys. For Joey, I'm Vinny. Thank you for listening.
See ya.